Have you ever found yourself just staring at a blank page, waiting for that lightning bolt of motivation to strike, but it never does? Well, what if I told you that waiting is exactly the problem? Today, we're going to tear that whole idea down and give you a system to bypass motivation for good. The reason you're waiting for the right mode to start is that you've been sold a lie about how the human brain actually works. We'll show you the 3-step system for ignition so you can bypass motivation entirely and switch into a state of high output flow on command. And look, this isn't about more willpower or hustle. It's about engineering, about understanding the mechanics of your own mind. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dismantle the great motivation fallacy. Then we'll look at your brain's internal veto power. After that, we dive into the real science of starting, lay out the ignition protocol step by step, and finally show you how to master the perfect start every single time. So let's get right to it and tackle the single biggest myth that holds people back. We're talking about the anti-motivation myth, this deep-seated belief that you have to feel ready before you can actually do anything important. This right here, this is the most crucial idea we're going to cover. Get this, and everything changes. Motivation doesn't cause action, it's the effect of action. Think of it like this. Your action is the flint striking steel. Motivation is the spark that flies off. We've got it completely backward, waiting for the spark when we should just be focused on making the strike. See, this totally reframes the entire concept. Motivation isn't some magical input you need to go find. It's an output. It's a biological reward your brain hands you for getting into motion. It's your brain's way of saying, hey, good job, keep going. Once you really get that, you stop being a victim of your moods and you start becoming the architect of them. Okay, so let's dig into why starting feels so incredibly hard in the first place. I promise, it's not a character flaw. It's a biological tug of war happening inside your head. It's what we call the emotional labor trap. So every single day, there's a battle raging in your brain. On one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. That's the CEO, your rational self, making big plans, setting long-term goals. But on the other side, you've got the ancient limbic system. Think of it as your inner caveman. Its only job is to save energy and get rewarded right now. And in a head-to-head fight, guess who almost always wins? And that right there is the limbic veto. It's that physical feeling of, I just don't feel like it. It's your brain slamming on the emergency brake because it sees a big, uncertain task with no immediate payoff. Trying to fight that with willpower, that's like trying to push start a car with the parking brake on. It's a total waste of energy. So if fighting our brain is a losing battle, what's the move? Well, you have to work with the machine, not against it. This is where we get into the real science of starting and learn how to hotwire our own brain to be action first. So this is the key question, isn't it? If we're not supposed to wait around for motivation, how do we create it on demand, right out of thin air? The answer isn't in feelings or inspiration, it's in neurochemistry. Specifically, a little neurotransmitter you've probably heard of, dopamine. See, motivation isn't an on-off switch. It's more like a ramp you build, one tiny action at a time. A super small, almost effortless start, like just opening the document or putting on your running shoes, triggers a tiny spark of dopamine. That little spark actually makes the next action feel a little easier. You string a few of those together, and you build a chemical ramp that literally carries you into a state of momentum. And it gets better. Just starting a task doesn't just build that dopamine ramp, it also kicks off something called the Zeigarnik Effect. Basically, your brain is a neat freak. It hates open loops and unfinished business. So once you write that first sentence or do that first push-up, you create this little bit of mental tension, and your brain naturally wants to close that loop, which creates a pull that draws you deeper into the work. Okay, we've covered the why, now we get to the how. This is the heart of it all, the practical, mechanical system for making this happen whenever you want. This isn't a mindset, it's a procedure. It's called the ignition protocol. The ignition protocol is a simple 3-step process designed to mechanically bypass your brain's resistance. First, we audit the friction. Second, we create a tiny spark with a trigger. And third, we lock in the momentum with a propellant. Let's break down exactly how each one works. Now check this out. The first step has absolutely nothing to do with the work itself. It's all about your environment. The single greatest enemy to starting anything is friction. All those tiny little barriers that make getting started just a little bit harder.
And this is why it matters so much. The 20-second rule is a total game changer. It says that the difference between doing something and not doing it can literally be a matter of seconds. You know, a guitar that's tucked away in a case in the closet, it probably won't get played. But a guitar on a stand right next to your desk, you'll pick it up all the time. Prepping your environment is what we call a high-leverage activity. You do the work once, and it pays you back every single day. We're talking about all these tiny, annoying things. A messy desk, a dead laptop, trying to remember a password, hunting for the right file. These are the excuses your limbic system is looking for to hit the brakes. Your mission is to do a friction audit. Go through and eliminate every single one of these little hurdles until the time it takes you to go from not working to working is less than 10 seconds. You won't even have to decide to start. You'll just fall right into it.
Okay, your environment is clean, it's frictionless. Now you need the matchstick, the tiny spark to light the fuse. This is what we call the micro-ignition trigger, and its only job is to be too small to fail.
This quote just nails the psychology. A huge goal triggers a fear response in your brain. The amygdala freaks out. But a tiny goal? It just flies right under the radar. Your micro-ignition trigger isn't the real work. It's a physical action so ridiculously small that it takes zero emotional energy. Open the file. Write one single sentence. Put on one running shoe. That's it. That's the first step on your dopamine ramp.
All right, we've audited the friction, we've sparked the trigger, you've got a tiny, fragile flame going. The final step is to protect that flame. You have to give it oxygen so it can grow into a real fire. This is the propellant sequence, and it's all about locking in that early momentum. This rule is non-negotiable. 300 seconds. That's a 5-minute no exit window. For those first 5 minutes, your only job is to not switch tasks. You don't have to do good work, you don't have to feel brilliant, you just have to stay put. This 300-second window gives the neurochemistry of focus, that dopamine ramp we talked about, time to build up and catch up to your physical action. It's the moment you go from trying to focus to being focused. And when you start applying this 3-step protocol consistently, something really fundamental starts to shift. You stop being a person who is at the mercy of their moods, and you become someone who generates their own momentum using systems. So let's run through the whole system one last time. First, you run a friction audit to make starting take less than 10 seconds. Second, you launch with a micro-ignition trigger, that too small to fail action to sneak past your brain's defenses. And third, you engage the propellant sequence, committing to that 300-second lock-in period to build real, unstoppable momentum. And really, that's what this all comes down to. Productivity isn't about white-knuckling your way through more work. It's about mastering elegant systems that make focus feel effortless because they're aligned with how your brain is actually wired. So stop waiting for the right mood, stop hunting for motivation, master the mechanics of the perfect start, and you'll find that focus and flow are always waiting for you on the other side.